Hey y'all, my name is David. Welcome to the show. Let's get lit. Okay, dad jokes aside, this episode is going to be all about lighting your self-taped auditions. I am at my home studio. It's just my office. I just call it a studio because, we do studio-like things in here, like create videos. In the setup today, we are going to be experimenting with a ring light. This is I think this is a 21-inch Neewer, might be an 18. There'll be information below, there'll be links. And I also have two soft boxes, HPUSN. It's got a I can't even pronounce that as a word. I'll also have information about what those soft boxes are and where to get them. The softbox kit was about $70 for the kit. The ring light, I can't remember exactly, maybe around $150. I'll link all that stuff below. If you like these videos, if you like this channel, please click like and subscribe. I love to connect. I'm in Seattle, Washington. I do a lot of this kind of stuff. I create videos, I interact, I connect with actors, and I want to help you succeed. So, first thing, we're going to be recording, testing smartphone footage. So the first thing is I have a modification here. A smartphone bracket goes here in the center of this ring light. And I have a modification here because I want to be able to use an external mic. This is a Movo, looks like it's the Movo VXR10. And that'll give me slightly better audio. I'm a big fan of audio, or good audio for self-tapes. The most important, or the first upgrade, in my opinion, should be to your lighting kit, and that's why this video is all about lighting. Let's get started. Obviously, you notice that I'm using a backdrop, right? That's covering the wall behind me. Okay, so now I'm here and I'm there. I'm going to talk to you right here on the iPhone video for one moment, and I'm going to give you some information, and I'm also going to talk about AEAF lock. I talk about this a lot. It's going to come up here as well. First things first, let's get a distance. My distance from my smartphone and my ring light, about 30 inches. My distance to my softbox lights is about 6 feet. 6 feet away from two softboxes that are set up right on either side. They're very close to the camera. They're slightly higher than eye line, coming down a little bit on me. Okay, first thing I'm going to do while I'm here, I'm going to initiate AEAF lock by touching the screen with my finger. It locks, and then I will drag my finger down and change the exposure just a little bit. That was a little bit too much. Okay, so now that it's locked, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this setup looks like without the ring light on at all, because this is what we're doing here, is we're going to play around and see what kind of lighting does different things to the quality of your video. So that is with only the soft boxes are on, okay? This is with the lighting 6 feet away from me, and I am about an arm length away from my backdrop and an arm's length away from my iPhone, which is set on this stand that is attached to the ring light, okay? So what we'll do here is now, since I have AEAF lock still engaged, I can now drag my finger back up if I want things a bit brighter, okay? The other thing that I will let you know is that sometimes there are some color issues when you're filming against the color blue. The blue as a backdrop. Now, I'm not gonna, and there are ways to fix this as well. There's some things you can do in post when you're editing to make some color tweaks. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this little trick that I learned from another actor. And this is about actually trying to get the white balance to adjust while, or right before you start filming. So right now I'm looking at this image. It looks a little bit on the yellow side as far as my skin tone. So I'm going to do a little test here. I'm bringing up a white piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off AEAF lock. I'm going to present this white piece of paper because I'm hoping that the camera will do some white balancing with this here. I'm going to actually expose my face a little bit, still with this white piece of paper, AEAF lock. And now when I'm looking at my skin tone, and again, I'm not really going to have I'm not going to be able to judge this very well until I'm looking at this later, but just kind of peeking, looking at that with this fresh set of eyes right now, looking at it right now, the skin tone looks a little bit better to me. We will figure this out later. But that is a trick. that you might want to try. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to now reintroduce the ring light. Add a little more light to the face. Things start to pop a little bit more, and now things are looking too bright, in my opinion. Again, depending on how you edit, you might be able to adjust some stuff in the editing and make some tweaks in post-production, but I really want to get things how I want them right here in camera. So, this is 3 lights. There's no hair light, there's no lights behind me, nothing is really illuminating my head. And in traditional 3-point lighting, that is one of the elements, right? And I'm looking right at the screen, I'm not even connecting with you. I'm very sorry. I get so confused about filming with the iPhone sometimes that I forget to look at the lens. It's over there somewhere. Traditional 3-point lighting, you will have a key light, a fill light, and a hair light. So your primary, your key light will be the strongest. It'll be coming from one side. The fill light will be a little bit reduced in power, and then a hair light will be giving you a little bit of separation from the backdrop. Now, you can certainly do that with your setup, but I find that 2 lights above your eye line at a certain distance, maybe adding in a ring light, and again, usually folks that I'm working with are either using just a ring light combined with room lights or a ring light combined with natural light. Right now, remember guys, it's dark. If I turned off these lights, you couldn't see me at all. It's nighttime, there's no natural light coming in. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave things exactly the same, and we're just going to turn off the box lights, the soft boxes. So that's what it looks like with just one of the soft boxes off, right? So now, let's talk about, we were just talking about key, fill, hair. That's the key light, it's the only light, so that's the key light. I have nothing on this side, no fill light, so you're seeing much more shadow here. Now I could, if I had space, or if that was on a dimmer, which these lights are not, if I turned that on and moved it further away from me, then it might be less intense and it might actually behave more like a fill light. Hold that thought. You know what we're going to do? I am going to turn that back on. I'm going to feather it away, meaning I'm just going to turn the light away from me. Right now, both of these lights on this side, they're just facing me. Right now, I'm going to turn that back on and just face it away, which should reduce the intensity of the light on my face. Light is now turning back on, and I'm just turning it away, so it's now kind of reflecting off the wall. And what we have here is, I think I like that a little bit better. Maybe I'll turn it towards me just a touch. I'm just basically playing around here, and this is what I really encourage you to do. I encourage you to experiment with your setup. And this is not about backdrops. My next video is going to be about backdrops right now. Don't worry about the backdrop if you don't like this kind of blue and white kind of tie-dye vibe. Don't worry about that. This is a fine backdrop. The trend is for bolder, or I always say the word bold, but what I mean is solid. Solid colors are typically what I see is an industry standard, but this is the backdrop I had that's covering my wall, because my wall has stuff on it. It has posters. Now I'm just kind of playing with the exposure, bringing things down a bit. Okay, so this is, with that light is turned away from me a bit. This light is facing me directly. I'm going to turn this away just a little bit more and just keep playing. And remember, when I turned it all the way off, then you could really see the shadow on that side. And even that might be a little bit too shadowy because there's also no light that's hitting the backdrop anymore. I could now adjust the ring light if I wanted to. I'm sorry for the wobbly, but the phone is on the stand. And now you have a little more pop on the face, and it might be getting a bit too bright. So turn it down. And also, the brighter this is, it really starts to hurt my eyes. But you do want to be relatively close to the ring light. And it does give you kind of that sci-fi ring in the pupil, which some folks don't like that. It's not a huge deal if it's there, because ring lights are totally fine to use as long as the scene is lit well, but it does give you that kind of sci-fi thing, which some folks, some actors don't like. Cool. And it definitely shows up in the glasses, right? You see that, that's very distracting. And the more I turn it up, it does create more light on the backdrop, but it gets really too bright for my eyes to handle. So I got to find kind of a happy medium where it's comfortable for my eyes, which is about there. And now I'm just kind of looking at the whole scene. Like, is there enough light on the backdrop? How does my face look? Are things balanced? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, now we're going to go just ring light, no soft boxes. So with just the ring light, the ring light is doing a nice job at lighting my face up, but the backdrop is really completely gone, okay? So one option, if you only had a ring light, you're going to have to film during the day, or you're going to have to turn on room lights. With room lights, because I have one light up there that's obviously looks really distracting on that backdrop, just because of where that room light is. There's not a lot of, the room lights here don't illuminate the space very well. Another option perhaps would be to bring everything closer to the backdrop. The closer the light is to the backdrop, the more light there will be on the backdrop. And then you have light on my face and light on the backdrop, right? Let me turn down the intensity a bit because it's getting... So now we're here, and I'm close to the wall, right? I'm really close to the wall. But this now is, at least the ring light is lighting me up, and the ring light is also lighting up the backdrop. Not my favorite thing to have... Oh, you know what else we're gonna do? Since we haven't done it yet, remember I told you I was using an external mic. It has not been plugged in, but now I'm plugging it in to the iPhone, and we're gonna see if that makes any difference. So now the mic is plugged in. In theory, that's recording better audio, slightly better. Again, the camera was pretty close to my face, so it probably was recording fairly decent audio. This might be an option. Again, I don't really get a good sense of this, the quality of this light, until I'm looking at it when I'm editing. But this may be an option. Now, let's go back to where we started, which was about here. Here's our next little test. Ring light goes off. AEAF lock, I turn that off, and right now the camera is trying to just figure out what's the best exposure for the entire scene. So the first thing I notice is all that backdrop is starting to bother me, so I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer to at least make the backdrop look halfway decent, because I was seeing the edges. Also the camera, I'm going to tilt that down just a touch. Tilt down the whole unit here until I find a decent looking frame. And I think I'm now further away from the lights, from the softbox lights. So I'm going to make a little adjustment to the softboxes and see what we can do to make this slightly more pleasing. I'm going to bring the lights closer to me. And I'm going to come back to using this white piece of paper to try to get decent white balance. All right, AEAF lock is on. Moving the camera back to a fairly decent spot here. All right, so what I'm going to do, as I just mentioned, bring the lights closer. You know what? I'm just going to bring one light closer. So now with one light closer, I should be achieving something that feels a bit more like light that's not flat. Like flat light means the intensity of the light on both of the sides would be equal intensity. And since I mentioned this already, these lights are not on dimmers, so I can't make this 100% and this one 70. So I have to just play with distance. And since I do like a little bit of difference in intensity, I'm going to leave that one there. So what you do notice is a little bit of a shadow on the background. You can see it more there, less so here, okay? Now, shadows on backdrops are not the end of the world. Shadows on your face, that's a big problem because we need to see your face, okay? So I'm going to bring this light even a little bit closer. And again, this is what I want you to do at home. I want you to experiment with your lighting setup until you get things exactly how you like them. Now I'm going to bring down the exposure just a little bit here. Oh, darn, didn't mean to do that. It's so easy to turn this off and on. So that seems like it's a little bit too dim. That's too bright again. Oi, I'm not saying this AEAF lock is easy. Bringing this back in, I want to show the paper that locked my face. So I'm touching the screen right where my mug is. I believe that is helping with color balance, white balance. and making it a little more accurate. Brought down the exposure just a little bit. And I think things look pretty decent. Since this side of my face is now getting a bit shadowy, I'm just going to bring that light in just a touch. Now, all right, right about there. Okay, so from what I'm looking at here, and I have changed the distance from me to the smartphone is still relatively the same. I said I could almost touch it before. That's still about where it is. The distance to the background, about the same. I have brought the lights closer, so I've made that adjustment. Depending on your space, you may not have this kind of flexibility to kind of move lights around and put them in various spaces. I do encourage you to do some testing, and I also encourage you to figure out how to make this as affordable as possible. If you are going to upgrade your space for your self-taped auditions, I suggest starting with your lights and then going to audio and then ending with a backdrop. All of them are probably upgrades you're going to have to do at some point. Okay, I hope that was helpful. We looked at softboxes, ring lights, softboxes by themselves, all three lights working in conjunction. We looked at the ring light all by itself, and even right now I'll bring up this ring light just a touch to get a little, even like one level didn't seem to do anything, but if I doot, that got a little more pop on the face, almost a bit too much. That's off. Yeah, just a couple steps gives the face a little bit of illumination, which is important. Like getting light on your face is important, but you don't want to do it too much, right? If I overdo it, then it gets, I don't know. We'll look at that. Again, the thing about filming this way, I'm used to working with a partner, meaning my better half, Angela DeMarco, is usually on that side. I'm not always using my smartphone. I usually use my mirrorless camera to record auditions. So even getting used to looking at my image on my iPhone, I'm not trusting it 100% because I'm just not used to recording my auditions this way. But I am starting to realize that this looks pretty good. Remember, the most important thing about your self-taped audition is the performance. Getting it in on time, labeling it correctly, all that jazz. But the performance is obviously the most important thing. But you can't have anything that is distracting. And if we can't see you, if we can't hear you, if your background is busy and distracting, then we won't be able to watch the performance. All right. In our next episode, we're going to look at backdrops. We might use a different fabric backdrop, as well as a wall, and then a collapsible pop-up backdrop. We'll look at those three, show you some options, and then, who knows? It's all a mystery. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. As always, if you have anything to say, please comment. If you like this video, please share. Please keep in touch. Stay safe. Happy holidays, and talk to you soon.